Yesterday, President Biden spent much of his address to the UN General Assembly talking about the threat of climate change. And later in the day, he spoke to world leaders at a separate gathering for Climate Week, where he touted his role in making more than $400 billion available to help spark a green energy transition in the United States. But in the U.S., there's often a disconnect between the concern and urgency Americans feel about climate change versus how their elected officials act on the issue. Let's bring in CBS News Sacramento investigative correspondent Julie Watts to break this all down for us. So Julie, you would think that if there's a state where elected officials and the public are aligned on climate change, it would be California. But there are cases where lawmakers vote against clean energy and climate legislation, including some Democrats, which is surprising to a lot of people. Why is that?
Yeah, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a California lawmaker who identified as a climate denier, right? That's not what we're looking at here. In fact, California is a leader in clean energy and environmental legislation. The things they're debating in D.C., like cap and trade, have long been law here. In contrast, the things that they are debating in California's State House are sometimes novel or untested policies, right? And you said it earlier, Vlad, it's the economy, stupid. A lot of folks are thinking about that right now, and they're worried about the unintended consequences of passing this legislation that may be untested. They point to things like gas prices in California, which are the highest in the nation, in part because of some of our environmental policies. And then you may not know this, but California is among the largest oil producers and refiners in the country, and that means there are a lot of oil and gas jobs here. And so that's a big factor for many of these lawmakers when they're voting. In fact, we tracked down a couple of lawmakers who are most often identified as sort of aligning with the oil industry, and we asked them specifically, tell us about your votes. Listen to what they said. How do you explain your vote on these bills?
Well, for me, I always look at the unintended consequences. Not every community can afford whatever policy we pass out here, not because they don't want to or they're climate deniers, it's because they just can't afford it.
What do you say to your constituents who support climate change legislation, who want to reduce CO2 levels, and who see that you vote against these bills that have been billed as climate change reducers?
I'd say I'm on the same page as they are. I want to reduce carbon emissions. I am a believer of climate change, but we as legislators have to look at issues from all sides. We have to think about what's going to, keep our economy going, what's going to keep people employed, rising fuel costs. I think that right now people are really having a hard time with, making sure they can make ends meet, and I think they're struggling.
So you can see the economy is certainly a big issue for some of these lawmakers. At least that's what they say when they're voting against some of this legislation.
The other thing your investigation found, though, which I think is really interesting, is Democrats who are accepting oil money from oil companies. How does that impact their votes?
Yeah, that was a fun one. So we looked at 6,000 bill positions on over 100 votes that were related to oil and gas. And then we looked at all the money that our California lawmakers got from oil and gas this year. We found Democrats as a whole got more money from the oil and gas industry than Republicans in California. That's not the case in Congress. That's unique to California, in part because we have so many Democrats in our state house, right? We're a Democratic supermajority. But when we analyzed how that money impacted the vote, we found that there wasn't really a correlation. Some folks who got a lot of money voted against oil and gas, in some cases 100% of the time, and vice versa. Instead, what we found was a strong connection with labor. Now, it's no secret that the labor lobby is very strong in California State House. They carry a lot of power there. And, oil means jobs. There are studies that show that fossil fuel jobs in California actually pay more and have better benefits than clean energy jobs. That's not the case in other states. That is the case here. So when labor combined with or backed big oil on a bill, that's when we saw lawmakers most often supported bills in favor of big oil.
Fascinating reporting. Julie, thank you very much for sharing it with us. We appreciate it.